Is it safe to have a DHCP server? Why it is not safe to have a DHCP server? What is the purpose of manual IP? Why we need to have a manual IP? So how the hacker get inside our network by simply connecting their computer in our switch or in our Wi-Fi. Hello everyone, hope you found it doing great. Welcome to Elyas Tech channel. If you're new here, welcome. Today I would like to talk about one of the most important topic. I need your attention. See, most of my topics are on the board because this is how I found friend of mine and most of my subscribers, they suggest me try to discuss most of the topic on the board. So I hope you like while I'm discussing on the board. As a network engineer, as a network architecture, you probably need to know in which portion or which zone do you really need to have a manual IP, and which portion on which network or on which VLAN do you really need to have a DHCP IP or DHCP server. This topic is not only for technical folks, but it's good for non-technical folks as well, especially for network engineer, network architecture, network design, even system engineer. Why the public internet is not safe, why we need to be more conscious while we are using a public internet connection. These all questions will be answered by this click. Okay, let's talk about what is DHCP. DHCP stands for Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol, and the main purpose of DHCP is to bring a solution for the network architecture and system engineer, because if we have more than 100 or more than 1,000 of the clients, so it's very hard for a technician to assign an IP for each devices manually. Let's talk about how DHCP works. When we configure a DHCP, the first thing that we need to make sure that we are creating a pool. Here in my example, I have a DHCP pool which is start from 192.168.1.x/24. So my pool is start from 192.168.1. For example, 100, and this is the start and end to 192.168.1.254. So if I connect my computer and our switch, my computer will receive 192.168.1. For example, 101. So now this IP is automatically assigned by Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol server. If I connect my wireless access point, see, it's a wireless access point. If I connect my wireless access point to another port of the switch, and one of my client connect his computer through the wireless, that guy will receive 192.168.1.102. So 101 is reserved in here. So one of two is reserved for my another client, which is using my wireless access point. It is my wireless access point. For example, this device will receive 192.168.1.103. Okay, so in here I have one smart device which IP is 192.168.1.103, and one of my client IP is 192.168.1.102. I need your attention because here I want to explain and describe with more detail how DHCP is safe and why DHCP is not safe, and which network scenario or network design do we need to have a DHCP. In this scenario, what do you think, guys? Is it safe? You would say yes. Yeah, it is safe, but how we can say it is safe? If my Wi-Fi has a password, it's very hard for hacker to put their computer in here and try to get inside my wireless connection. It's very hard. For the security purpose, I'm using WAP2 Enterprise, so that is very hard for hacker to get inside my network unless they're tracking some of the employees, such as social engineering or pretexting in order to ask for Wi-Fi password. That is why we need to make sure to do not share our Wi-Fi password unless they have authorized paper on his end that he is eligible to access the Wi-Fi which we have in our office. One thing I want to clarify with all of you, it is not because they are after the Wi-Fi password. Their main focus is to find out what is my MAC address, what is my IP address, and which range of IP I'm using. If I'm using 192.168, 1 dot something, they are very smart and they know, okay, if it is 192.168, 1.x/24, they probably use another range. For example, 192.168, 2./x. That is why DHCP is a bit hard to say it is safe unless you have a MAC filtering on your access point. So access point does come with a MAC filtering, MAC changer. They change the MAC address, Arp spoofing, Arp Rosining. DHCP is good, but I'm not suggesting most of the time to use DHCP. What if one of the hacker, they get the chance and plug his computer into my switch? Another hacker plug into my switch. Or see, here's very interesting, very interesting. What if this port is connected to faceplate or wall jack? Here's a wall jack. So we forgot to restrict this port. He plugged his computer into the wall jack and get the range of IP. So in here, get the range of IP plus he's able to access the internet. He connects his computer in here for information gathering. They get the range of my IP and he is able to access the IP and which range of public IP I'm using. It's very, 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 very important. It's essential for all of us to keep our eyes as a network engineer, as a network architecture, as a network security engineer, as a cyber security engineer, to get the control of all this stuff. See, hackers in everywhere. If you put your all load in one portion, like I want to make my Wi-Fi very secure, it's very, very secure. Even you have set up your 802.1x, it's very secure. It requires authentication, authorization, accounting. But in here, if someone is connecting in here and get all information, what is the point for them to get inside, access the Wi-Fi? They want to spend more than more than a month in order to access the Wi-Fi? No. In this scenario, we found that DHCP doesn't seem safe. That is why when we are accessing a public internet is equivalence of this one. Public internet is providing dynamic host configuration protocol IP and everyone can access it. Top of that, for example, this is a public internet. If I connect my computer in here or my smart devices, if I connect in here, so means if this guy is connected to the same Wi-Fi, he can easily find my computer IP and MAC address because I'm using the same range of IP. I'm using the same range of IP, 192.168.1/24. That is why you have to be more conscious while using the public internet. Public internet is not safe unless you know what to do. But there's another trick, and I will tell you later on. I will definitely record another video while I'm going to some places to grab some coffee and study something, and I will definitely share and which tactic and technique I'm using that the hacker will get confused where I am. Don't forget that as well. I will definitely share. I will write it down on the paper to not forget to share this kind of topic as well. So in here, this is all are a scenario of DHCP. What is manual? The manual is the most safest site as a network architecture, you said, or as a cybersecurity network engineer, as a cybersecurity officer, or as a network engineer. I mostly suggest manual when we need to have a manual. Most of the time, if we have less than 50 computers, which is important in our company, we mostly assign a manual IP for that. Or most of the servers, we can configure a manual IP. Of course, manual IP is safe and that's hard code for that particular devices. Another disadvantage of DCP, in case if I disconnect my computer from here, other person connect to the same internet, the DCP will assign the same IP as I received while I was connected to the wireless access point. So it means the IP is not stable. You can say that this is my IP because it's dynamic. The next time when I come to the same coffee shop, I will get the different IP because the IP that I had in here before it assigned to another person. That's another disadvantage of dynamic host configuration protocol. How manual IP work and how we can say it's very safe as well. We have a modem in here, and after modem, of course, we do have. So yeah, we have a modem in here. It's connected to router. And after router, it connect to my switch. So in here I have 192.168.1.1. There is no DHCP in this network. If anyone want to access the internet, or if anyone want to access this IP, they must be at the same range of IP first. If I plug, for example, here's a scenario. If a hacker trying to access my network and connect his computer to my to the interface port, now in here the hacker don't know what to do because there is no DHCP unless the guy need to know which range of IP I'm using. If he know which range of IP I'm using, he can access. Otherwise, for him it's very hard to know in which range of IP I'm using. So the guy will get confused and they will say that, you know what, but they are very smart. They know that, okay, so there is no DHCP in the network. There is a static IP. They will after to find out which range of IP you're using. Well, I have noticed there is some tools when you connect to the same scenario and it's not DHCP in here as well, they can find out the range of your IP. Make sure to hard code and whatever port which you don't need to use it, try to use it. Try to block it, shut down that port, hard code it, shut down that port. Even if you're so worried about this kind of activity, create another VLAN by the name of unused. Just put those ports under VLAN of unused and you're safe and you're good. So the manual IP, there is no DHCP assigned. For example, here is Wi-Fi. If I connect my computer and Wi-Fi, I'm not able to access the internet unless I have to log into this computer and assign IP 192.168.1.103. For example, the subnet mask is 255.8.8 DNS. Gateway subnet IP. So this guy, unless I have to assign these IP inside this computer, then he or she will be able to access the internet. This was the purpose of manual IP, and I hope you got the concept of manual IP. Now it's up on you to know which one is good, which one is bad, and which portion do you need to have a manual IP and which portion do you need to have a DHCP IP. What is APIPA? Okay, let's talk about APIPA. What is APIPA? If I have a DHCP server in here, this is the scenario of APIPA. If I have a DHCP server in here, but for some reason it is disconnect and my DHCP server, for some reason my DHCP does not connect to switch, and my client, whether I'm using Wi-Fi or wire, is looking for an IP. Since DHCP is not available to respond to the ARP request of the client, my computer itself will assign an automatic IP which is not the accurate IP. See, it's an automatic IP, but it doesn't mean that while you have this IP, you are able to access the internet. So in this scenario, see, I have a modem, router, everything is okay. But this client, since I didn't assign a static IP in here, and I configured this laptop to get the DHCP IP, so that is why if the DHCP is disconnected, my computer not able to access the internet, because my computer is configured for automatic, not for manual. My computer will automatically assign an IP which is start with IP. The IP will start from 169.254.0.1, 169.255.254. These are the range. Remember that whenever you look at your computer, these IPs shows in your computer means you are not able to access the internet. Is it safe or not to keep this all stuff? Disadvantage of IPPO address is that keep our network busy, because it's sending requests to DHCP. Hey, I'm looking for IP. Hey, I'm looking for IP. Whether it's sending 32 bits or more than that bits, so that keep our network busy. And of course, it's a noise in our network. We didn't want this kind of noise or this kind of activity in our network as well. Okay, this is how IPPO works, and I hope the information was very helpful. Don't forget to subscribe my channel first and feed the YouTube. Let the YouTube algorithm work properly for this kind of prestigious information. Thank you for watching. I do appreciate your time as well. I hope you have learned some stuff as well. Until next time, stay safe, be brave, and don't forget to share this information with your community, with your colleagues, with your friends, with whoever you think that they deserve and they are after this kind of information.